This is Jill Biden, the former First Lady of the United States. Dr. Biden is currently attempting to sell her new memoir, View from the East Wing, and went on CBS Sunday Morning for an interview with Rita Braver.
You don't mention President Trump's name except for one time. You call him my husband's predecessor or my husband's successor. I have to think that was done on purpose.
Well, why would I talk about him when I'm writing about Joe's administration?
Joe Biden's main political strategy was screaming on a weekly basis that Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. He was the main character of your husband's presidency. But sure, Voldemort rules apply in the East Wing.
After Hunter Biden was convicted on all 3 counts on federal gun charges linked to his drug use, the president had a decision to make. President Biden had said that he would never pardon his son.
He did.
And then he pardoned him. Did you urge the president to think again about that?
Well, you know, Joe said in the beginning, I won't pardon Hunter, I won't pardon Hunter. And then
he pardoned Hunter. Joe Biden spent months looking the American people in the eye, solemnly swearing up and down that he would respect the rule of law and never pardon his son. But the exact second that the election was over, those promises went straight into the paper shredder.
And then the Justice Department changed. And I think that the process was not fair to Hunter.
Ah yes, the Justice Department that Joe Biden ran suddenly wasn't fair to the guy who documented his own felonies on a laptop from hell.
But then when Trump was elected, things changed. And we knew that he would target Hunter. And we just could not let our son go to jail on a charge that no one has ever gone to jail for.
Right. No one has ever gone to jail for lying on a federal gun form, except for all the people who go to jail for lying on a federal gun form. And when Trump was elected, things changed. But they actually didn't. Because Hunter was found guilty of 3 felonies related to an illegal purchase of a firearm in June 2024, while his father was still in the White House.
Trump said, I want Hunter Biden to go to jail. We could not let our son go to jail on that charge for a gun that he bought and he had for 11 days.
He only had it for 11 days. Oh well, I guess that it makes it perfectly legal then. I must have missed the part of the federal penal code that says committing a firearms felony is completely fine, just as long as you're under the 14-day return policy. And it needs to be pointed out that Hunter was also convicted on 3 felony tax offenses and 6 misdemeanor tax offenses for choosing not to pay at least $1.4 million in federal taxes. The conviction occurred in September 2024, which was before the presidential election and while Joe Biden was still in the White House. So between the gun charges and the tax evasion, yes, Hunter probably should have gone to prison.
The president basically
changed his mind.
Changed his mind?
Yes.
Because he lost faith in the system.
Yes, I guess it is, yeah.
The Biden administration spent 4 straight years lecturing the American people that our justice system is sacred and it's impartial and absolutely no one is above the law. But the exact second that the jury applies the law to a Biden, suddenly the entire legal system is rigged. Got it.
The night, the election night, I mean, I was certain she was going to win.
You were.
Wow. Even the friendly CBS journalist couldn't hide her absolute disbelief.
You were.
I mean, the entire country watched Kamala run one of the worst campaigns in modern history. But Jill was certain that Kamala had it in the bag. Let's hear what completely warped metrics she was using to predict this massive victory.
The excitement for her and the crowds and, I mean, how people rallied around her.
The excitement at the crowds! You mean the crowds that they had to bribe with free Megan Thee Stallion concerts just to get them to show up?
People,
And I truly felt that she was going to win. I was shocked she didn't win because I think she would be a good president.
Jill was absolutely flabbergasted, shocked even. Nothing says winning campaign like a candidate who couldn't even name a single thing that she would do differently than the incredibly unpopular administration that she was already part of.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind. And
Jill Biden proudly touts her husband's accomplishments.
He got legislation done. He created more jobs in his 4-year term than any other president. Look at all he did.
If by created, you mean people going back to work after government-mandated pandemic lockdowns, then yeah, Joe Biden was an incredible job creator. But let's do a quick reality check. In January 2020, there were 152.3 million jobs. By March 2020, the economy lost 22 million jobs thanks to the pandemic. By the time President Biden took office, roughly 13 million of those jobs had been recovered. It would take more than 2 years to reach full recovery. So on this timeline, every job created after May 2022, i.e. the break-even point, was a new job. Between May 2022 and January 2025, Biden's last month in office, there were 6,344,000 new jobs created. On the other hand, between January 2017 and January 2020, 6.8 million new jobs were created, which means that if we play by her ridiculous rules and completely strip away the pandemic recovery numbers for both sides, then Donald Trump created over 500,000 more brand new jobs in 3 years than Joe Biden did in 4.
Let's just say, when Joe started in politics, all during his Senate years and even some into the vice presidency, Republicans and Democrats respected one another. You know, yes, they had differences of opinion, but they never let it get personal.
Someone needs to remind Dr. Jill that Joe Biden and his Democrat ilk have spent the last decade calling half the country a threat to democracy. And back in 2012, Joe Biden literally told a black audience that Mitt Romney was going to put y'all back in chains.
Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
There were never personal attacks on one another. And I think that's a big change of, what we see today, where it's so personal and so mean and vindictive a lot of times. And why is that necessary? I didn't grow up like that. Joe didn't grow up like that.
He called his political opponents semi-fascists and garbage, but yeah, tell us more about how he never made it personal until after the bad orange man showed up. The historical revisionism here is just off the charts. Next, Dr. Biden was asked about Joe Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis and her reaction to it.
It was a shock. I mean, Rita, honestly, I can remember getting the diagnosis, and it was shocking.
Do you think that someone, when he was in the White House, should have discovered it, given him a test?
Notice how Rita practically gift wraps this excuse for her. Should someone have discovered it? It's not a lost TV remote. It's a tumor in the commander-in-chief.
Well, the doctor said that according to the American Urological Association, that men over 70 don't need a PSA, a blood test anymore, because it's a slow-growing cancer. I have to say, Rita, I do feel we had amazing care in the White House, but somehow that was missed.
Somehow that was missed. Right. Because when you have the White House medical unit monitoring the President of the United States 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's super easy to just miss a cancer diagnosis.
I thought we had amazing, amazing doctors. but somehow they missed it. And they didn't do the PSA because of, the guidelines said don't do it over 70, and they didn't. And so it advanced to stage 4.
Again, it was somehow missed because the amazing doctors didn't bother to give Biden a prostate-specific antigen test. And we're talking about a simple blood test. It's not like they had to put Biden in an MRI machine for 3 hours. Furthermore, the AUA actively supports prostate cancer testing for healthy men over 70 whose life expectancy and overall health warrants it, a category that presumably includes the President of the United States.
Did you ever see signs that he was falling into cognitive decline?
No.
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 Truly.
No.
The pure, unadulterated weapons-grade denial. The entire planet watched the man wander around stages like a lost Roomba.
Thank you. I will sign the proclamation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here.
And remember the time that he called out to a dead congresswoman?
Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
And on several occasions, he called Kamala Harris the president.
Now, when President Harris and I took a virtual tour of a vaccination center in Arizona, last week, President Harris and I stood in the United States Capitol. And that's why I asked President Harris to travel to the region last August. But all kidding aside, of course, President Harris is a proud Howard alum. President Harris is there to make sure we do this the right way. Our nation's first black vice president, President Kamala Harris. I'm not being facetious. Well, President Harris led this effort.
I mean, people were saying he wasn't the same Joe Biden.
Well, I don't think that's true. He was the essence of the same Joe Biden, but yeah, he was slowing down. He was getting older.
If Joe Biden's essence at that point was completely losing his train of thought mid-sentence and freezing on live television, then yeah, I guess he was exactly the same. For the rest of the country, though, a president's defining qualities need to involve a fully functioning brain, not just a beating heart.
When she arrived at the first presidential debate of 2024, she saw that President Biden wasn't feeling well.
Wasn't feeling well. Yeah, remember that talking point? He had a cold. So what exactly was going through Dr. Jill's head as she shoved him out onto that stage?
But then Joe always, even if he was off a little bit, he'd always rally. And I thought, okay, so he'll get in there in that debate and he'll be fine. He's going to rally. But he got in there, he got into the debate, and he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't rally, that's for sure. Instead, he crashed and burned so hard that it took the entire Democrat Party down with him.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified, I was frightened, because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since. Never.
Or since?
Yes.
Wait, hold. Never before or since. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit.
You've never seen him like
Never.
that?
No.
What
I didn't
happened?
know. I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke.
So Jill Biden claims that she thought her husband, the resident of the United States, was actively suffering a catastrophic, life-threatening neurological event on live television. And what was her immediate reaction? Just sit back down and let him finish dying on national TV for another hour. According to The Atlantic, Jill Biden writes in her book, "To this day, I still don't know what happened. Why wasn't he making any sense? It was inexplicable to me. Maybe he had rehearsed too much? Maybe he had traveled too much that month? Or was he just ill? The president had seemed exhausted earlier in the day and had told her that he was not feeling too well. Rehearsed too much. I guess that the classic problem of practicing so hard that your brain completely shuts down and you forget what century you're in. I felt like we were watching an AI hologram of the man we knew, and the hologram was glitching. Has he been drugged? Drugged? By who? The absolute denial that you have to be in to watch your 81-year-old husband freeze up on stage and immediately think, oh God, I hope the Russians haven't spiked his applesauce. It's just astounding. I'm surprised she didn't blame Trump. Later, after positing that he may have unwillingly taken codeine cough syrup or Ambien to fight off a cold or to help him sleep, Jill Biden seems to rhetorically throw her hands up in the air. I only wish I had the answer. You could forgive the reader for wondering, well, did you ask him? I mean, it's not like they live in the same house or anything. The First Lady writes that she wished that she had thought to ask for a blood test after the debate, and also says she suggested the president take a cognitive test to calm doubts, but was overruled by his advisors. Imagine believing that your spouse may have suffered a stroke, and then you go, hey, maybe we should do some medical tests. And then a group of campaign strategists goes, nah, bad optics. And then you just go, oh, okay.
And what people don't know, he had 2 events after that. And he was fine. I mean, he was fine. It was inexplicable.
But what is actually inexplicable is the fact that 1 minute, Dr. Jill believed that President Biden was having a medical emergency, and then the next minute, she drags him off to a debate watch party event.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
Oh, yes, the man you all thought was melting down on the debate stage was actually the smartest guy in the room. And then, inexplicably, she dragged him to a Waffle House and let everyone shake his hand because he was sick or something.
You're suffering from a cold, your campaign says that you're sick.
A stroke, sore throat, same thing. But think about it. Jill Biden claims that she was frightened to death that her elderly husband was having a neurological emergency. But instead of rushing him to the hospital, she took him out for midnight waffles. Absolute elder abuse.
I want to ask you this one more time because I just want to get the sense. As I said, I think this is the essential question that people are going to want to know from you is, have you ever seen signs of mental decline in your husband? Mental decline, not physical, mental.
No. I mean, I've seen aging. I've seen him slow down, like I said, but no.
No mental decline. Right. Except for the fact that even his own Department of Justice literally described him as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
It was so hurtful to see many of the people that we really thought were behind Joe to come out and attack him. And
to be fair, the attacks didn't come soon enough. Back in February 2024, it was revealed that during his interview with special counsel Robert Hur, that Joe Biden forgot when he was vice president.
And so I'm at this stage in 2009. Am I still vice president? Yeah, okay.
Do you have any idea where this material would have been before it got moved into the garage?
Well, if it was 2013, When did I stop being vice president?
He literally asked if he was still vice president in 2009, the first year of his vice presidency. The man didn't even know if his job had just started or already ended.
And Trump gets elected in November of 2017. 2016. All right. So, we have 2017 here.
That's when you left office, in January of 2017.
Okay.
He aged. He did. He got older, and we all saw him aging. There were the words that he would forget, but we were all aging.
So Joe Biden couldn't remember when he was vice president, he didn't know when Trump was elected, and he didn't know when his own term ended. But according to Dr. Jill, there was absolutely no sign of cognitive decline. Nothing. It's just normal aging, guys.
And even today, she still thinks her husband would have made a good president if he had stayed in the race.
Of course he would have made a good president. He made a good president the 4 years he was there.
Of course he would have. The guy whose own party had to practically stage a coup to drag him out of the race because of his mental fitness. Oh yeah, he would have been absolutely fantastic for another 4 years. Who knows? Maybe he can run again in 2028.
We got to finish the job means $35 insulin, not just for the Medicare, but like we originally had, and they wouldn't continue it. When we pushed all these programs, I said, I'm going to be president of everybody, whether they live in a red state or a green state. And making Roe v. Wade the law of the land.
Classic. Anyway, that's it for now. Head on over to my super cool merch store, don'twalkrun.shop. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, and hope to see you next time, if there is next time.